Welcome to From the Ashes, the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast all about Ashes of Creation by Intrepid Studios. Bear witness to the rebirth of the MMORPG genre from the ashes of an industry that has left the gamers behind. I am Aggelos, founder of the Dungeon Crawler Network, and we are currently coming to you live from the Mighty Beard Tavern. Yes. And I am joined by my co-host, Stormslord. How are you?
Doing great. Missed the week. Ready for fun.
We also have Alpha Soul on the other side. How are you, buddy?
Doing good as well. Charged up. Got a lot of info to cover.
All right. Everyone's just pumped and ready to rock. I am glad about that. We got a fun show for you guys this week. Obviously, we were off last week, mostly due to the fact that I wasn't here. I was over in London covering the Bethesda Game Studios concert that they had over there, and that was a lot of fun. And if you are interested, we had an interview from composer Enon Zur, which is on episode 184 of our ESO show, Tales of Tamriel, which you can check out over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, as well as our YouTube page and anywhere else that you listen to your podcast, because we're pretty much everywhere. But going back to Ashes of Creation, we are going to cover there's so much stuff to go over. First off, we saw new footage from the Alpha 1 Phase 2. We got Ashes of Creation Apocalypse, which we're going to get into in a little bit. Whew, deep breaths, Ag, deep breaths. We got October cosmetics and information on the new website, which is all really interesting, and I hope you guys will find that interesting as well. But before we hop into the news, I of course got to give a shout out to the awesome people who support us by subscribing to us over at twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network, as well as patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network. You guys are amazing. You help us keep the metaphorical torches lit and bringing you content each and every week, excluding last week. Well, hey, we all need a vacation once in a while, but hey, cool. We are also up to 48 iTunes reviews on our United States iTunes. So, of course, if you want to help support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review over there so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes they matter. And iTunes reviews definitely help. All right, guys, let's go ahead and just jump right on into the news. First off, let us talk about the Alpha 1 Phase 2 footage that was shown during the most recent live stream. This one's pretty neat because Phase 2 is definitely going to be the more traditional MMO experience. It has all the progression we talked about up to like level 20. The node system will be in place up to a certain point, open world, all that fun stuff. Did you guys actually get to see it? Let's start with Alpha Soul.
Yeah, so I got to see it. I got to, I stayed pretty much for the whole presentation up until, I think, the Halloween presentation started running a little long. So I kind of finally cut it off, I think 20 minutes after. So it's like hour 20 minutes into it. So I got everything of it. So I watched the whole thing. I thought it looked a lot like what we had currently seen already. Mm-hmm. But there were a bunch of cool things that they introduced that had no clue about, like the weather system. We got to kind of see that in action, as well as the, monsters kind of leaving, and, a little bit of a taste of, I guess, the tab target as it would come in. I think he was explaining at the time, he was mixing a little bit of the action, which was the auto attacks, and then the tab target, which was obviously predominantly what he was doing in there. So, all in all, I thought it was pretty decent. I didn't really need to see it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I noticed it definitely felt like, to me, Storms, you'll probably be able to kind of chime in on this one as well, but it definitely felt a little bit closer to what we had already experienced within A0. I know the UI changed a little bit, but it definitely felt a lot like what we saw during Alpha 0.
Oh, absolutely. Much more like that.
Yeah. I know with the hybrid system that's currently in, it's again, this is only going off of the Alpha 1 gameplay showing, and during the video they're still working to get that together, but it looks like only the auto attack is actually still action combat where all the other skills are tab targets still. So that's a pretty big departure from a smaller departure from A0, but a pretty big departure from the Alpha 1 Phase 1 that we've so far been doing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how well that's going to actually go together going forward.
Yeah. And it sounds like they don't really have he doesn't really have an idea of how it is. It's, I guess, all testing at this point where they're just smashing things together and going to see how it's going to work out. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah, you got to play with that, right? You think it's going to work one way, you put it in, see if it's going to work. And that's what part of testing is, right? You design it a certain way, and then you go, it's not working exactly the way we thought it would. So
yeah,
right.
Play with it.
Right. What do you guys feel like if the hybrid system remains closer to what it is now versus what it was during A1, which this is actually going to kind of go into our next topic as well, which is the apocalypse. Do you think that's actually going to drag people in to the MMO?
Go ahead, Storms.
Well, no, I think that's going to be a tough call. You're going to have some people who are excited to try it, but then you're going to have some people who are just like, no, you don't put those two together.
What do you mean by that?
It's going to depend on how well, it depends how you, see, I'm thinking of the hybrid system, right? How they're putting this together and when it's going to be tab, when it's going to be direct. I don't see it working yet. I don't see how that's going to jive. I think there's going to be extreme ways of taking advantage of it any way they put it together.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually feel the exact same way. I still can't for the life of me wrap my head around how you would mix it and it would be fair at that, without, extremely leaning it in one way or direction where they're exploiting or, something is just preferred. I seriously just don't see it happening.
Yeah, they're going to have to do some serious tweaks if they do put it through. And because like you said, there going to be major advantages to one side or another, and it's going to be a really dicey play.
The one thing I would caution, though, is if it's too much, to your original question, Aggelos, if it's too much in the direction of what it is now, I'm afraid that will lose more people than it actually brings in or helps. Only because it seems like there's a sizable portion who just, don't dig necessarily, the combat and the mode, and are waiting until these successive phases, basically, for them to come back in and start playing the traditional MMO. I think like the action aspect might be turning some people off of it as well as the game mode.
Yeah, I'll see how that works.
Yeah. I was trying to think of something right off the bat. We had this discussion so far in our community Discord, and this is actually something that Alpha Soul brought up because he linked a video from another group out there talking about Fallout 76 and some of the issues that we're currently going to be seeing already with Autobots and stuff of that nature. Do you guys feel like that is still going to be something that Ashes is going to deal with?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But being that it's an open world PvP, we can take care of that ourselves.
How would we be able to take care of that ourselves if we have aimbots going on and someone can... They already do it. Not saying the people are cheating, but I'm saying that within the A1 Phase 1, we're already seeing people take other people out from halfway across the map where you can barely even see people. Mm-hmm. If you're essentially dealing with some guy with a crossbow and an aimbot, how do we deal with that?
So, see, there my misinterpretations are. I was talking bot as in farming bot.
Not aimbot. Not farming bot.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, no, aimbot, yeah. Without cheating, how do you deal with it? You
Yeah, no.
take a picture of it, you send it into customer support. Sound familiar?
Yeah. I've been screaming to the high heavens, the aspect of the action portion specifically. If it, let's just say, for example, they decide to go, hey, this is the combat system, this is what we're going with. That's what it is, right?
Mhm.
Now, on top of the MMO worries, you now have to worry about FPS worries, right? And companies and AAA companies still have not completely stamped out cheating. Overwatch still has it.
Well,
Destiny
you
still
got
has
that in
it.
the client, right? Anything in the client
Exactly.
can be cheated.
Right.
That's the problem with anything in the client.
Right. So, if these companies can't do it, I have zero faith that despite what they say, that they would make their system 100%, cheat free. And there would always be that question kind of looming over, and it would become even more, uh, pronounced when you start having like castle sieges, stuff like that.
Unless you take a part of a team that's meant to do something else and put them specifically on cheats, and that's what they do.
But
Yeah.
You can figure that out. It's a matter of what it's going to cost them to direct them to deal with cheaters versus other stuff.
the only way they're going to be able to take that out is if they do stuff more server side than client side.
Well, it depends how you're doing it, right? So again, you're right. If you take everything to the server side, it's really easy to do, right? Because it's all over there.
Mm-hmm.
If you then have it on client side versus server, the client still has to report to the server, and your client has to report to the server to figure that out. So you have ways of catching that in the API. It's just going to depend. You put control points in there to deal with that. But again, you got to figure out who's going to take the time to do that. You're talking 1, 2, 3, 5 people full time catching cheaters. Are they going to support that? I don't think so.
I doubt it, especially when another company is going to be handling that. That's more of a customer service type thing, and everyone at Intrepid right now and I know this is development, but I'm sure they'll hire customer service. But then you got other companies like My.com who already has a somewhat sketchy, customer service history. So therefore, how much are they really going to jump into it, if at all? Yeah. And if a company like Activision Blizzard that has more money than Midas, they've got a little golden hand and they just like put it on people's keyboards and all of a sudden you got gold everywhere. If they can't stamp it out, I mean, come on.
It's going to be tough.
How much was the last Overwatch tournament? Like that they funded? What was the packet? Like they put the money forward for the prize package. I can't even remember how much it was, but it was a considerable sum. And that's just Blizzard throwing money around because they can throw money around. There's no way.
100 million.
How is it? Was it really?
I see. Oh wait, no, sorry, wrong one. I was looking at the wrong one.
I was starting to think maybe I need to get into Overwatch.
That's why you get Diablo for the mobile phone. They have too much money,
Oh, yeah, I can jump into that one. Oh dear heaven! But no, it was a very large amount of money that they're able just to throw at their esports side, and if they
1.7 million,
1.7 million. All right, perfect.
Yep. Season 1 playoffs, that was 1.71 million.
Yeah, they have money to just toss around at that, and they still can't hammer out cheaters outside of the fact that, when they catch them, they ban them. But they still haven't stopped it. Like, And with this type of game, the fact that there is no box cost to it, it's really just a sub fee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, I know they're separate games as well, too, but have you guys been keeping up with Fallout 76?
I actually have been.
On the Xbox, yes.
Yeah.
So the latest...
Ironically enough, Tales of Tamriel, episode 184. No,
anyway. Yeah. But the latest problem with them that's just been revealed outside of you being able to edit your INI file to make yourself look, move quicker and gain an advantage over people. They just figured out that you can use a good deal, and it's looking like people are looking into it more, a good deal of the mods that you could use in Fallout 4 to affect the game, in Fallout 76. And so, Bethesda,
we were doing that 40 years ago. So come on.
Right.
You guys got to fix that. You can't be putting in an INI file. That's just silly.
There's been a lot of games that have done that. We don't even need to get on to Bless Online where you could actually adjust things that you couldn't adjust in the client that you could do in the INI to make it run somewhat feasible. Why that wasn't even in the game to begin with, we have no idea. But, again, that's not a Bless Online show because that game's already over. Anyway, all right.
Why?
Yeah, that's probably why. I know the one thing that I was really excited about is that they pretty much said skill effects will be toned down for Alpha 1 Phase 2, so they're not going to be bright and flashy.
Oh, yeah.
I
like the part they give you the choice.
You'll be able to customize the effects, but they're not going to be super flashy things, so think whatever divinity's in there.
One of the things I really like about the changes recently in ESO is the ability to change the enemy's color of area effects. Right. So that ability to change an enemy's color really helps you figure things out, specifically for those who are colorblind, right? But anyways, to me that's an interesting thing to do.
Fair. I mean, I could see you changing. Well, see, and that's just it. Are you able to customize the effects? Going back to the Kickstarter, we're going to get custom effects if you backed at certain levels of the Kickstarter. There were custom spell effects and skill effects that we're now going to have that other people won't. So we'll be able to mess with those. I don't know if it's going to be so much as adjusting the color or toning things down for other players so much as, do I swing my sword this way or this way? I think it's...
Do a granny sword or do a real sword?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what's going to be. And I actually noticed in chat, they were talking about the cheating side of things. And here's the kitty. Saying that they could just start banning credit cards that people are using. And Kadrin in chat was like, yeah, so then you call your credit card company, goes, oops, I lost it. Wait a week and you get a brand new one with a brand new number. It's not that hard to get a new number fairly easily. So
there was one actually really cool thing that I took away from it, which sounded awesome. And that was the way that they're viewing skill combination in the game. And at one point in the stream, basically what happens is, I think, who was it? Jeff used the blink boots in combination with the icy boots at the same time. And it created like this instant ice wall blinking over because they were able to use them at the same time. Now, you can't do it in the alpha because those are boots of the same slot. But since they're skills in the game, you can do things like that. And they stated that they were pretty excited for that, basically. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Right.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty neat. That would be pretty neat. And I noticed that we're already having people in chat calling for a nerf of Stormlord's shoulders because apparently he's too flashy.
Yeah, apparently.
For those of you listening to the podcast side of things, we use green screens, and the lighting and the shirt color that Storm's decided to go with
I'm telling you.
Fighting back and forth. He's got some wicked spell effects coming off those shoulders.
I'm telling you, got it going. Going that white's bad. It's white and white.
All right, moving on to the next thing, which is... okay.
Take a deep breath.
Alpha 1 Phase 1 being renamed to Ashes of Creation Apocalypse. This will be a free-to-play version of the game that will include the Battle Royale that we currently are testing, Castle Sieges, and Horde mode. Okay. I'm just trying to breathe here for a little bit. This is universally stupid. This is like the dumbest idea I've ever
Well, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to come out on this one because this is just stupid. All right, so now we're going to have a split focus on the team. Yes, I know we have a large team, but regardless of how many people you split off, that's however many people who could be working on the game. I don't see how this was a good idea. This is not going to bring in people to the MMO because they're going to keep all the same mechanics that we currently have within the Battle Royale, Castle Siege, whatever. I get it. It ties to the lore. Great. But it doesn't fit with the MMORPG, which is supposedly the main product. So the people who are going to be coming in to watch like the Battle Royale are not normally the same audience who's going to be interested in an MMO, much less an MMO that has a hybrid combat system versus the full action combat that Apocalypse has. Not only that, but it makes a very, very poor image for the company itself. We've already seen it. And when people are announcing Apocalypse, they're like, wow, I feel bad for the Kickstarter people. They've already took their MMO and made it, Fortnite. How do you guys feel?
You okay?
I need a drink. That's what I need.
All right, so jump into it, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what their original intent was and how they set this up. If they took advantage of the number of folks, unfortunately, were laid off from other software development companies, and they were able to expand beyond their vision and allow the certain team that was originally supposed to focus on the MMO continue to focus, that would work. As long as they completely separate out the other product, we'll call, Ashes of Fortnite, versus the MMO. It depends how they're going to play that game. The problem is you're going to have two separate systems disparately looking for the same set of money.
Sure.
And who's going to decide who gets that money? If there's no outside influence to decide that, are we going to flip a coin? Is Steve going to, throw somebody over the wall? What's going to happen if all of a sudden Ashes of Fortnite is making $1 bajillion a day and the MMO is not?
Yeah.
But it depends. What if, again, I don't know their test plan. I don't know their whole plan out. What if they had set aside 80 people to work on the MMO? Now they have additional 20 to do this. I don't know.
I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to pause that thought because this comment just made me laugh. Yeah, they must have changed their motto from making MMOs great again to making another BR again. All right, continue. That made me laugh.
There you go. It all depends what the original vision was and what they've played with. We don't know enough yet. I'm worried based on what I've seen that they're going to head down that path, and it's not set up that way. But it's going to depend how they play it.
And I mean, what they're attempting to do is when you're playing this, just for people who aren't really sure, this is supposed to be set lore-wise before the fall of Vera. So players are attempting to escape. Unlucky ones are unable to get away, and now they're left fighting to survive in the Battle Royale, trying to defend their last cities in the castle siege, and ultimately the last stand against the forces of corruption in Horde mode. So that's the premise of the game. Now, this is going to be servers going to be up 24/7. There's going to be oceanic servers for this, in addition to EUNA. So there's a cost, by the way. And not only that, but there's two. There's NA West, NA East servers. So that's like 4 different server groups that are going to have to run this as well. Now, and when you're playing this, you as a person who's interested in the MMO, there are some benefits. You'll be able to earn cosmetics, costumes, mounts, probably mount skins. Housing skins, furniture, stuff like that, weapon variants, and you actually have a freehold that you'll be able to somewhat build in this mode and transfer it over to the main game. So, progress, Kit West, characters, achievements, awards will be transferred. All right, so that sounds great in and of itself, right? But that was not in the original scope of the testing. They have now just expanded their scope for what was supposed to be a 3-month testing cycle to get us closer to the MMO. Now they're going to actually have to build these systems into this mode and then make sure they're able to transfer between the main game and this.
And that is not what you want to do in testing. You do not want to add scope. That's the last thing you want to do.
Citizen of Ash is like Star Citizen.
That unfortunately could be the way they're headed. If they don't have enough separation of teams, separation of division, it's gonna get pretty weird.
Well, so I'll say this though. I think it's going to, or I don't think it's going to, but they did say in the stream that they're still on target to start with Alpha 2, or what is now just Alpha, in March. Or April is their time frame. If that's true and they're still doing that, the curious thing that I thought was, well, what's going to happen when that actually comes up? What would be the incentive to actually go in and play Apocalypse outside of, what is it, like achievements and stuff like that? What would be the incentive to actually use it at that point?
Oh, look at the way they have other games. They have Battlegrounds, right, in ESO. The whole, it's a completely different thing, right? You earn achievements, you earn outfit styles.
Right. Other than keeping the people engaged, right? For most of us who are already here, we're already engaged. And I think I'm seeing where Alpha's coming from here. I think the question is, how much data from a testing perspective are they actually going to get from this once it's up and running? Yeah, once they have Battlegrounds perfected, and this is still having to be run, maintained, patched, and possibly new items being created for it to keep people interested. Because if you can earn all the achievements in a week, guess what? I'm earning all the achievements for my MMO, and then I'm leaving. I do like the idea. I really do, but not from an independent studio.
There's a key indicator that Alpha had too, right? And if they make on the schedule they've already published what this additional thing is, and they make the same schedule, that means they had somehow be able to do the whole, let's make a baby in 1 month with 9 women. We took the amount of people and we tripled it, whatever we needed to do, and we created a second piece at the same time we kept on the schedule with the first one. It all depends on how they played it and if they meet that key indicator.
By the way, I just like to say I really like that analogy. I had to run that through my head.
I'm sitting here going, I don't know if we're playing the same game or not, and I think I wanted into Storm's game instead. Sounds way more fun. Wow. And I'm torn on this personally because I do like the idea of having this set aside game that we can earn stuff in while we're waiting for the MMO. I just feel like personally, I do like cosmetics. I do like stuff like that. It's cool, great. But I'd rather have the MMO than force myself to play another Battle Royale game that I really cannot stand just to have it carry over. And I do say that I enjoy the Battle Royale from Ashes more, but only because it links back to what Ashes of Creation is. But
I love it. I love the Wand of Light. But no, it's
the Wand of Light.
That's a great. It's an intense, right? So larger fights are going to take time, right? You're going to spread things out. Something like this, it's intense 15 minutes of just you fighting 15 minutes at a time. That's a completely different thing. And to me, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But again, can they make it work? I don't know.
A very different thing from what the MMO is. So again, people who are going to be interested in Apocalypse, I personally think that Apocalypse will end up dying. Even if it goes off, I'll save my argument on the appearance of what Apocalypse actually looks like to outside people who aren't already diehard fans. Almost everyone who listens to this, and I'm sure I may get a few comments on the YouTube or whatever about, oh, I thought these guys were fans. Well, we are. So don't get us wrong there. We're definitely fans, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have to be a fan of every single idea that comes out because not all of them are good. This one, I think, is not a good idea. Image aside, how long are they planning on supporting this before it eventually people get everything and go away? We're already seeing that within the testing. How hard is it to get when we have a 3-day testing? By day 3, how long do you have to wait to get into a game? Especially if it has like 100 man. There's supposedly 10,000 Alpha 1 testers and it takes 30 minutes to get into a game. Once I have all the cosmetics I really want or the MMO comes out, why would I go back to Apocalypse? So now they're going to have to maintain this free-to-play game on the side.
Unless it brings in a separate set of individuals to play.
With what
the
money?
Thing is well, that's just it. If it's its own functioning, let's call it a subsidiary, right? We're going to call it a subsidiary so that it can function on its own, reporting back to the parent its profit and loss. It doesn't necessarily have to affect it if it's set up right, and you bring in the right people to keep it going. The MMO people, obviously, based on our testing issues, they're not the ones to keep it going. But there are a lot of folks who would want to do that if they buy into it doesn't have to shoot a gun in order to be a fast, battle royale. Which I think was shown very well here, but it depends on the audience you want to bring in.
Now, I do have a question. What do we think about the main reasoning that was given, which is the information that has been garnered from the test has been overwhelmingly helpful to them and positive to them? Do we think that that justifies the direction that they're moving, or what do you guys think?
Honestly, I think all this is spawning, and I know Steven said it, that there's all this confusion about the term Alpha 1 Phase 1. So this feels like a knee-jerk reaction to try to separate out and to build goodwill, going, oh, guys, no, this is something separate from the MMO, right? Because that's what it felt like when they like 3 episodes ago, when we talked about the NDA being dropped, and we're like, this is a terrible idea. You shouldn't do it. The game is not ready to be seen by the mass majority. And despite the fact that the content creators like myself, the official ones who were able to stream were like, listen, guys, this is just a testing mode. It didn't stop that flow of information that Ashes of Creation is now just a battle royale. I've actually heard someone say it's a battle royale MMO. Like, that's what they were calling it.
Yeah.
Going, oh, it'll be a massive multiplayer. You'll have like a house. It'll be kind of instance. That was the information I was hearing, that this is going to be like an instance, kind of like Crowfall, where you get your own little house instance or freehold instance, and then you're just BRing it all day.
Yeah.
And, I was like, no, that is not at all correct. But somehow, through the game of telephone of, hey, did you see that Ashes of Creation Battle Royale testing phase, to it's a Battle Royale MMO, that's where we shifted to. So it was a bad move there, and we know it was a bad move. So now this feels like another one to try to separate out this form of testing, to try to, I don't know, this is...
Yeah.
I hate talking about politics, but it's like if you have some guy who was elected with you and then he starts doing dumb stuff, so then you try to distance yourself like, well, we're not really with them. That's kind of what this feels like, where they're trying to separate out the bad publicity of what was the original testing with this mode, saying this is completely separate now. But now all we're seeing is, oh, great, it's either A, they're giving up on the MMO, B, it's Star Citizen, and now we got Squadron 42 again, which we still don't have, and we still don't have Star Citizen, and are we going to get, are they going to start creating the MMO and then fail that over when they realize the Battle Royale is more popular? Those are the 3 most common things I'm hearing now.
Yeah. So I think based on what we've seen, I think you're right on the money. With what's happened so far, but I think it's more of a reaction. It almost feels like Steven and crew are listening too much to what people are saying out there, because the whole reason why we're even testing this to begin with, to start, was because there were a bunch of people who were looking at the combat in the trailer and saying, oh, that's crap, right?
Sure.
So they turned around and then said, okay, well, let's release this so we can work on that testing, at a sooner time or whatever, and then people start saying it's a BR. Then it's like, okay, let's do this. And then it seems too reactionary to me. Like, I would rather have them come up with a date and then, stick to that date. Who gives a damn what everyone else is going to say? Because it's only going to be, 3-4 months. The game isn't even out yet, right? So I'd say don't divert resources. Take your time. Do what you guys are, set out to do, and everything will be fine.
Fair. Definitely. All right, and I'm really curious what everyone thinks about it in the chat is below. I see chat rooms already talking about this, and I'd be curious about what your comments are on. Do you think Apocalypse is a good idea or not? Obviously, we want to hear from the community as well. Next up on our list of things, we've got new cosmetics to show, and these things are fairly creepy. I'm going to go ahead and pull these up on the screen. But for those of you who are listening to us on the podcast, there is a link in the description of the show. You can also go to ashesofcreation.com/shop and you can check these out. These are the new pre-order cosmetics that you get with all the normal packages if you want to help support the game early. Or if you already are a supporter, you can buy these as cosmetics one at a time. You can check the prices out over there. But let's go ahead and talk about these. I'm going to go ahead and pull them all up on the screen right now as soon as I can find the thing that I'm after. There it is. Screen images. Oh, there we go. All right. So first off, did you guys see these? Do you like them?
I saw them.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait a second. Storms, we can't hear you. I see your mouth moving. I can't.
There you go.
Hey.
You know,
There you go.
That helps.
I don't hear that often. We can't hear you.
Okay.
Anyway, we've got the cosmetics up here on the screen. First off, the one if you're watching the screen, it is the phylactery of the Scarlet Lich. It looks like a necklace of some type. Big red gem, which again makes me think of the Amulet of Kings, but the skull, or not the skull, the skeletal fingers holding it around the clasp. I'm not real sure about that. We have the Decaying Thrall, which is, well, what did they call them in The Walking Dead? The crawlers? The ones that have lost their legs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a zombie crawling around. We have a Risen Guardian, which is an elk that apparently is dead.
Has seen
Fear the
better
deer.
days.
Fear
Fear the deer.
Fear the deer.
We got Death's Bastion, which is a mausoleum. We've got the Grim Sail, which is probably the coolest ship I think I've ever seen.
That's my boat.
That's my boat right there. It's it looks just like the anglerfish. It's actually designed to look like the anglerfish. The ship, the sails on the side, and the little lantern hanging off the top all look like one of those deep sea anglers. And of course, you got Death's Hand, a new costume, which really just looks like a green shroud and a weird deathly mask. So guys, thoughts?
I am trying to remember for the life of me where Steven had said a quote about that ship in particular. So keep talking.
Okay.
I'm going to try and find that quote and see if I can actually say it.
Storms, what about you?
The ship itself is fantastic. I have no idea what the quote is, but that's okay. the quote, the boat and the mausoleum. I love these two. These two I like. The mausoleum, especially just coming out of Halloween, I like that whole look of it. I think it's great. The statues with all that, and to be able to do something with that. The question is, it's not that big. You can fit maybe one casket in there, unless you can go somewhere underneath.
Well, remember, this is one of the very few cosmetics that we've already seen a mausoleum built in the Alpha 1 Phase 1. I've been in it, which is fairly large overall.
Right.
I have a feeling that this is probably one of the easiest ones for me to kind of grab onto, because we've all seen mausoleums. They're the big dome-like buildings that has gargoyles around each of the pillars, and then probably some sort of figure off the top that's supposed to represent the person who is buried within. It looks neat, and we've seen it already. So if it is at all to the scale that the current mausoleum is within the Alpha 1 Phase 1, I'll say that's pretty big. Like, there's like, I'm trying to remember. So you enter in, there's like 4 entrances. I know in this one it doesn't have 4 entrances. I'm talking about the one from the A0. So you got 4 entrances coming in. So you have altars on 4 different sides on either side of the doorway. So you got 4 different caskets there. And then you have caskets in the center as well. So you can have like 8 caskets inside this thing.
But based on, I believe, again, as conceptual art goes, the gravestones are probably for size comparison. That's not going to work, right? Because if you look at it, the gravestones match pretty close to the size comparison if that's a normal size door. So I think it's more like the mausoleum you see in like a current day cemetery that is only meant for 1 casket.
Well, if it goes on a freehold, though, that may only be something you throw in the corner. Maybe this thing could be your kitchen. I know.
I want it to be the whole house.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the whole house. It could be one outbuilding.
Right,
Yeah. So I like that, and I don't know. Whenever I look at concept art, I tend to see, I get the sense and style from it, not necessarily a one-for-one. The gravestones may not be there to represent scale so much as,
They may not be.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I like it either way. I still like it either way.
And I see Nautilus in chat says this might be used to open, like, wouldn't it be cool if you could use it to open up a basement space in your freehold? Yeah.
Or a place, maybe a quick way to the underworld.
Underrealm
situation. Underrealm.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Now, obviously, I love the Grim Sail, the ship, because it looks a lot like the anglerfish, which looks a lot like the Fangler. And I love Fanglers, so I'm really excited about that. I'm not really big on the Death's Hand costume. It really doesn't. From the concept art, we have a mask that covers the face. It looks like it has 3 spikes on it. Some sort of ornate shoulder plate. I know it's kind of hard to see it. And a green kind of broken up robe. Okay. Alpha Soul seems to have found it.
Got it. I found it. All right. So that ship is freaking awesome. I love the ship. Got it, the ship. And, it's part of the thing. Now,
wait,
what
do you
Steven...
like the ship? Sorry.
I'm not sure. Okay. So the quote about the ship was, how cool would it be if when the ship rammed another ship with another damage to result in its destruction, it played an animation of the mouth eating the other ship as it was destroyed? So that's a quote. Yeah.
That would be cool.
So just in the off chance it ever happens to possibly do that, I want it in my arsenal.
I just wanted to eat the people like that fall out of the ship. Like you can run over people and it eats them. That would be pretty neat. Yeah. So other than the Fangler ship, I'm not real fond of any other of them. But again, I'm not real big into the super dark occult type things. Started watching the new Sabrina show. Realized this is not near as jovial as the old 90s sitcom.
I love that new show.
And immediately just stopped watching it. So
no, you're missing it.
I'm telling you, I can't do it. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I know the deer is probably going to be pretty popular because you know what this reminds me of? When the Elder Scrolls Online first came out, do you guys remember the cinematics, the three banners cinematics that were starting? And when the Breton finally was killed and was resurrected, you see him walking on the skeletal horse. But the horse is still kind of together for the most part, but slightly falling apart. That's what I'm thinking this is going to be, like a necromantic dead horse that's still walking.
Yeah.
I like that.
That could be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
See it comes out.
Yeah, right. All right, so we'll move on to the next thing on our list as soon as I can find the list. Oh, that's what it is. Just the last thing that was kind of mentioned was actually, before I do that, there was a comment from the live stream where even though the game world won't mirror real world holidays exactly, such as Halloween, they're still drawing inspiration. So we're likely to see some form of Hollow's End type thing, maybe not directly related or maybe not at the same time as Halloween, but probably somewhere close.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm sort of okay with that as well. I mean,
that comes back to the whole reason about holidays, right? It gave people something to look forward to. So when you get into these games and you're 3, 4, 5 years into it, it's something different and it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Finally, we got a new website coming, finally, right? That's going to have new and improved account services. And when this comes out, we'll see some new blog posts, possibly even Nodes 3.
I don't think
Doubt
that
it.
There's a lot of talk about that, but I think that was the most exciting news from the last live stream. Actually, was the new upcoming website and all that kind of integration.
Right. Yeah, because the current website's really just based off of a WordPress theme. In fact, we use that theme. We used it before they used it on our Dungeon Crawler Network site because it's a fairly decent theme. Works out fairly well. Now, obviously, there's some back-end improvements when it comes to account services, but even that's fairly lackluster compared to what other games have. So it'd be nice to actually see some new and improved account interface that we'll be able to not jump through 900 different screens in order to get to see what we want to see. And of course, new blogs would be definitely nice. Something else for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nodes 3. Doubt it. Anyway. All right. That was kind of it for this episode, guys. It was a good episode, I think, so far. Really do appreciate all of that. So thank you so much, chat room, for coming out. Thank you so much to my awesome co-hosts. We got Alpha Soul over here and Stormslord. You can check them out in the description of this podcast and where you can follow them. So I definitely encourage you to do all of that. And, of course, if you're interested in checking out everything we do, head on over to DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork if you want to help support the show. You can also do that by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words. Sometimes it matters. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of From the Ashes, and we will see you next time.